What has the Times learned about how the Weinstein Company decided to fire Mr. Weinstein this weekend?
They've struggled to deal with this for a number of days. And essentially what they said is that they're starting to learn more about the allegations against Mr. Weinstein, the size and the scope, and they felt they needed to move.
I mean, his brother sits on the board. When they say they're learning more, it's been an open secret in Hollywood, right, according to the reporting. So what more are they learning? I mean, you're flesh and blood.
And are there things they covered up?
Yes.
What happened to all of these allegations over the years? How come they magically disappeared? Did they go away? I think you're asking all of the right questions.
The board, have you established if the monies that he paid out to some of these victims came from his own pocket or was it company money?
He says that it was his own pocket, but we do know that the board was alerted that there were serious complaints against Weinstein in 2015. And remember that there was a public incident that year as well.
Right. So since you're reporting, Mr. Weinstein has threatened to sue the New York Times. He wants an apology. What's going on that front?
Well, first of all, we stand by the facts and fairness of our reporting. I think the big questions are for him. He really responded in a variety of ways to our story. Usually when you publish a story with devastating allegations against somebody, they pick one answer, right? They either say, I'm really sorry that I did this, or they deny the whole thing, or maybe they pick a path in between. Harvey Weinstein was choosing sort of like every path at once. If there were a piano where an apology were here and denial were here, he was kind of playing every key in the middle on the piano.
Yeah, and it was also kind of weird. At one point in one of his statements, he said he's going to focus his attention on the NRA, which a lot of people found kind of skeevy and creepy because it almost seemed as if he was trying to rally liberals, I guess, or perhaps Democrats to defending him by pivoting and saying, I'm going to spend my time, not doing what has been reported, but helping to fight the NRA.
Well, I think the big question is, would he ever really sit down in depth and address these allegations against him? Is he in a legal position to do so? And is he willing to have, a really deep discussion about what the women say?
Your colleague Brooks Barnes has an article in today's newspaper, which is really fascinating and it's called Almost Radio Silence. How, for example, in the wake of the Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly scandal, people like Bette Midler tweeted, I have the tweet here, Fox watchers turned a blind eye to predators, no morality at all. That was from Bette Midler during the time of the O'Reilly Ailes situation. And here we're not hearing a lot from people in Hollywood. And a lot of folks out there are going to say, is there some kind of a double standard because Hollywood is perceived to be liberal and the people who are in that industry are liberal, and so they're going to not say anything because they don't want to jeopardize their careers?
I think there are two questions. One is that Weinstein is so deeply baked into Hollywood. He started the careers of people like Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. What did they know? Did they speak up? Did they protect women? That is a big question. The second is, what does the left tolerate among its own? You're right. For New York liberals, it's very easy with a Bill O'Reilly story to say, those right-wing guys treat women terribly, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Harvey Weinstein was very, very, very much a figure on the left. By the way, Republicans are trying to use this as a bludgeon against Democrats. As a reporter, I see it less as a political weapon and more just a fundamental question is, what kind of behavior are people willing to look past, even as they call themselves champions of women?
And frankly, what kind of behavior happens regardless of your political persuasion when you are powerful, you have a lot of money, and people, thousands of people, if you talk about some of the careers, it's not just, Ben Affleck got his start because Harvey Weinstein gave him a break on Good Will Hunting. The people that his films have employed at some level owe their careers to Ben Affleck, and who owes his career to Harvey Weinstein. So there's thousands of people that rely on this. And when you have somebody who's that powerful, does it matter where you work or what your political persuasion is?
Well, what women have told us consistently is that they have been afraid to come forward over the years because of what you're describing. Will anybody believe me? Will it hurt my career, et cetera, et cetera? So I guess my question as a reporter now is that now that he's been fired by his own company and that no longer seems true, are people going to feel more comfortable talking about their experiences? And will we get a real handle on the size and scope of this thing?
The last question I have for you is I'm just curious, and you may not know this, but we do know that President Obama's daughter, Malia, worked as an intern at the Weinstein Company. I'm just curious, if there's all this buzz, you think it would have reached to the level of the president? I mean, I know the president and the first lady would never allow their daughter to be in the midst of somebody who they had any questions about, but people are going to wonder about that.
I wondered about that a lot as I worked on this story. I covered the Obamas for 6 years, and, my view of them based on reporting is that they are about the most protective parents around. Very old-fashioned, I think, in their values and their standards. I really do wonder about that question, and I wonder about Malia herself and whether she read our article and what she thought of it.
Good question. Jodi Kantor, so great to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.